Almost more than 1,500 years ago, that is, before the Achaemenid era, the goddess Anahita persisted in Iranian culture and remained popular deities until the end of the Sassanid period. When Zoroastrianism became Iran's official religion from Darius onward, Ahura Mazda was introduced as the main god. But for a while, people still respected the old deities Anahita as gods associated with Ahura Mazda, seeing them as angels or manifestations of God's attributes, and they continued to worship them. You know that fire was very important, and not as a tool for warmth and cooking, but as a symbol of presence, truth, and purity. In Zoroastrian temples, called fire temples, an eternal flame burned, and people gathered around it for worship. Zoroastrians were not fire worshippers. Fire was used to connect with God. Water was also sacred in Zoroastrianism, and Anahita became important. This goddess embodied water, life, and purity. Today, we want to get to know Anahita better and explore the mystery of how this goddess remained beloved in Iran for so many years. Anahita was a Yazada in the Zoroastrian religion, meaning angels or sacred forces worthy of worship and respect. She was known as the goddess of water, fertility, purity, and wisdom, and played a vital role in the lives of ancient Iran. Anahita was the guardian of rivers, springs, and rain. People turned to her. They saw her as a source of life and creation. The land's fertility, fields' productivity, and people's health all depended on her blessings. In ancient texts and scriptures like the Avesta, Anahita is described with qualities such as purity, nobility, kindness, and wisdom. She is also introduced as a warrior and protector goddess who can defeat enemies and protect people. It's interesting to know that during the Sasanian Empire, from 224 to 651 AD, before going to the battlefield, warriors usually went to the temples of Anahita and prayed to her for healing power, courage, and victory. During this period, the temples of Anahita were important places for performing religious rituals and receiving blessings, and they were especially well known in major cities like Kangavar and Hamadan. Now, picture these grand Anahita temples in ancient Iran, with their massive columns rising 10 meters from the ground. The Anahita temples in today's Kangavar or Kermanshah are huge stone structures where earth and sky meet. These temples are extraordinary not just architecturally, but also in terms of their meaning and rituals, because they were built specifically for worshiping the goddess to whom people prayed for water, fertility, healing, and protection in war. The Anahita temples were built on a stone platform in a rectangular shape, surrounded by carved stone walls. Their architectural style is Greco-Iranian, a masterful blend of Persepolis grandeur and ancient Greek splendor. The reason this temple was built in Kangavar is that the area is rich in springs and natural water sources, making it an ideal place for worshiping the water goddess. People believe this was one of the places where Anahita's sacred energy was especially present. It's said that Artaxerxes II was the first king to officially and widely promote the worship of Anahita in his empire. He ordered the construction of temples and statues of Anahita in cities like Susa, Ecbatana, Babylon, and Persepolis. According to Greek historians like Plutarch, Artaxerxes II placed statues of Anahita in the temples, a rare act in early Zoroastrianism, since gods were usually not depicted. The Sassanids also deeply respected Anahita. Ardashir Baba Khan, or Ardashir I, the founder of the Sassanid dynasty, gave special importance to Anahita's temples during his reign. Shapur I, Ardashir's son and the second Sassanid king, who played a crucial and influential role in Sassanid history, also supported the Anahita temples and continued their restoration or expansion. Unfortunately, most parts of the Anahita temples in Kangavar have been destroyed or lost over time. But when you walk on the temple's platform and see the half-ruined columns and massive stone bridges, you can still feel the grandeur and glory of the past. Of course, there were other Anahita temples too, like those in Ecbatana, Hamadan, Susa, and Babylon, each showing the special importance of this goddess in ancient Iran. However, Most Anahita temples have been destroyed over time, and the Kangavar temple is the best and largest remaining example. Even though it hasn't been fully restored, it has become one of the most fascinating ancient attractions in Western Iran, drawing visitors from inside and outside the country. Now, let's get to know a historical fact and a ceremony called Abzor. This is one of the most sacred rituals in Zoroastrianism. In this ceremony, a ritual drink called halma is prepared, made from a sacred plant of the same name. During Zoroastrian religious ceremonies, the halma plant is mixed with water and sometimes milk, and with the recitation of parts of the Avesta, it is consecrated. At the end, part of this sacred liquid is offered as a gift and tribute to the gods, especially to water and deities like Anahita. The priest pours it into running water or onto the ground so that nature remains pure and is protected from harm. The main purpose of Abzor is to purify nature and reconcile humans with the sacred elements of existence. This ceremony has both spiritual and environmental philosophical significance. But let's also look at the different theories about Anahita. Some say Anahita may have been influenced by or combined with deities like Sarasvati, the goddess of water, knowledge, and music in India, or Inanna or Ishtar, the goddesses of fertility and war in Mesopotamia. Of course, this doesn't mean a direct combination, but rather a process of cultural and mythological exchange in ancient times, especially during the Achaemenid era, when the empire was multi-ethnic. Some say Anahita's cult even reached Armenia, where she was known locally as Anahit, but still bore a strong resemblance to the Iranian Anahita. In fact, some Armenian and even Greek sources mention that Anahita was one of the most important goddesses in that region. Another group says that during the Hellenistic period, around 330 to 310 BCE, after Alexander the Great's conquests, Greek culture mixed with Eastern cultures, including Iran and Mesopotamia, and a syncretic cult emerged, blending different beliefs. In this story, Anahita was given the title of the Virgin Mother of Mitra, meaning she was seen as a sacred and pure mother related to Mitra, the god of the sun and oaths. According to some accounts, this was probably an attempt to align her with Christian concepts like the Virgin Mary and the Messiah, and it became more popular in later centuries, especially among Western writers. In fact, in the Avesta and official Zoroastrian or Iranian texts, there is no credible evidence that Anahita was Mitra's mother or had a direct connection to his birth. So, even though this story is well known, it's almost certainly not true that Anahita was Mitra's virgin mother. Personally, I think Anahita is one of the most beautiful examples of the evolution of faith, art, nature, and ancient culture. The fact that she represents the mother, the protector of the environment, the worship of water, and respect for femininity shows how myths can survive even when political and religious structures change. What do you think about Anahita? Be sure to write your thoughts in the comments. In summary, the story of Anahita teaches us in a single sentence how deep the connection between humans and nature has been, and how beliefs can outlast time and religious structures. Anahita is a sign that even as history changes, the gods can still remain a source of inspiration for future generations.